I don't know the key to success, but the key to failure is trying to please everybody. The first time I saw this quote, I was in high school. So I used to play violin in the orchestra, and when I was in high school, I was in the chamber orchestra. And the person who was the first chair in violin, he liked to live this persona that he was this ultra-educated, very classy kind of guy, which typically won't really have a problem. Now, when you want to be a condescending asshole about it and then mock others for not being as educated as you are, then, well, there's the problem. And that was this particular first chair. Back in the day, we used to use AOL Instant Messenger. So anybody who was in high school from the mid-90s up until the late 2000s remembers AIM is what it was called, as kind of the proto-Facebook status or proto-Twitter. People used to update their away message, and it would always have, some kind of song lyric or some kind of brainy quote behind it, and people would change it, every 5 minutes because they really weren't away. They just wanted to show the status. And then now people just exploit it as Twitter. But anyways, the first time I saw this quote was on this particular first chair's AIM, and he put it as his away message. And I kind of looked at it and I read it and I was like, well, I don't really understand this. Now, where I went to high school and where I grew up pretty much is the stereotyped suburban America in the Midwest. Now, the high school I went to had 4,000 kids, and that was across 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. We had a freshman campus, we had a senior campus, and then everyone else was in between. And the town that I lived in actually had 4 of these high schools, and each one of them had 4,000 plus students. Now, recently, there was a Facebook post that went viral that was written by somebody from my town. Actually, he was the neighbor of somebody who shows up as chat moderator in my Discord. His name was Brian Crooks, and he talked about the town that I grew up in, so now you know where I'm from. And in the post, he wrote about getting made fun of, being one of the few black kids in the area. And when I read the post, there's not really any grounds for me to discredit anything that he said, because honestly, I experienced it too when I was a kid. And knowing little asshole kids anywhere from the ages of 8 to 18, first of all, my name is Bernard. And how many people do you know named Bernard? So that was made fun of. I have a Chinese last name too, so that was also made fun of. I don't have slanty eyes. But some of these asshole kids thought it would be funny to say, oh, look at me, I'm Bernard. And then, of course, there was the butt of the jokes to say that if you slanted it up, that they were Japanese, and if you slanted it down, that you're Korean. None of that's true. But hey, if you want to be a stupid asshole, then go ahead and say that kind of stuff. But a lot of people I know would probably go on the internet and say that they were bullied, and really they were. But for me, I just thought these kids were stupid. And lo and behold, 25, 30 years later, after elementary, middle, and high school, whenever I go back home, I'll go to any random restaurant and I'll see one of those losers who made fun of me when I was a kid, and they're working a shitty job. They may or may not be college educated, but it doesn't matter to me. They're still living in their parents' basement. They're the epitome of what you don't want to be at this particular age. And, they're just rotting away in a cesspool of being a loser. So to me, I could really care less that they made fun of me as a kid, but to some other people, this is real. But that's not really my point. What I'm trying to say is that my world was really, really small when I was growing up in high school. So small that when I saw this quote, I don't know the key to success, but the key to failure is trying to please everybody, I didn't understand what it meant. My world was the few groups of friends that I had that I hung out with occasionally, and my parents. Now, I could please my parents very easily. I just had to do well in school. That was all they cared about. And to me, if I pissed off some of my friends, I had enough groups of friends that I could give a shit if I pissed one of them off. It didn't matter to me. By the time high school's over, you won't see any of them anymore anyways. And by the way, if you're in high school, that's a very grim outlook, but that is reality. And, growing up in suburban America, we learned about the civil rights movement. And for me, I didn't really understand it, because if you were going to live in Naperville and you were a minority, you were doing very well. Like, yes, there were these social issues that you would come into with kids. Maybe adults probably would do the same thing too. But it wasn't until I went to college in Chicago that I really understood how the world worked. And it wasn't the bubble of my childhood neighborhood. And it was one of those things that kind of clicked in my head. It wasn't something that you could really learn in school. And that's similar to how I felt about this quote, because even after college, I still didn't really quite understand what this quote meant. I don't know the key to success, but the key to failure is trying to please everybody. And it wasn't until that I entered into the medical field that I kind of started to understand what this meant, because so many different people want so many different things. So many people might have different agendas that they want. So many people will want to demand that you do different things that aren't true to yourself, that you're going to pull yourself in so many different directions that your progress is actually going to move from you standing still to maybe even going backwards. You're not going to be moving forward, certainly, when you're trying to please everybody. You're going to have to piss some people off to get to where you need to be. And that's also true on YouTube. It's funny because I don't even have that many subscribers. And whenever I go on YouTube, I'll see somebody who gets pissed off at something I do. I mean, I'm not going to go out of my way to try to make them happy. I'm actually not even going to go out of my way to make anybody happy. I mean, if you don't like me, that's your problem, not mine. There's nothing I can do to control it. But then this quote also then leads into another quote, is that a lot of people will go ahead and say, not only do they say you do you, which I fully subscribe to, but people will also say, do what makes you happy. And that's actually a quote I don't agree with. Now, I'm not trying to say do what makes somebody else happy, do what makes everybody else happy. No, that's not what I'm saying. A lot of times, you're going to have to do things to get to a certain place that you don't want to have to do. Even your dream job is going to have things that you do on a daily basis that you probably don't like doing. I'll take, for example, this. People think that being a YouTuber is a dream job. And for some people, it is a dream job. But think about all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes that you don't really know about. Think about the tagging of the videos. Think about the writing of the description. Think about the managing of the social media. How about dealing with the hate? How about the recording? How about coming up with constant ideas all the time? How about the desire that you need to upload every single day? Or if not every day, you need to be on a schedule all the time. That you always need to come up with something new. That if you don't come up with something new, you're going to see your numbers start to drop. That you're going to see your popularity dwindle. That you're going to see that people start not liking you as much. There's a lot of things to consider in this that a lot of people don't think about. They think, oh, it's funny because somebody can just scream at video games and make millions of dollars. That's not true. Now, it's funny because when I did a lot of vlogs when I was traveling a lot more earlier this year, a lot of people were saying, oh, Chubbs, you have such a great life. Chubbs, I want to have the life that you have. And, I agree. I have a lot of fun with my life, but it hasn't always been like this. Maybe about starting 10 years ago, I had to grit my teeth every day. I was working multiple jobs all the time to support myself. When I started my postgraduate training, I was starting work at 4 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, and I wasn't done until 8 at night. I had to see people die every day from cancer. I had to see the people that I worked with, the patients that I treated, die. I had to tell their family that they were dead. Those were things that I didn't want to have to do on a daily basis. When I was a student, I didn't want to have to study all the time. I didn't want to have to feel like I was a slave, that I had to perform, otherwise I would never make it. Those are things that you don't want to do. And when people say, do what makes you happy, the things that you do every day might not necessarily make you happy. It's the outcomes of those things that make you happy. Today, I'm really happy with my life. And it's because back 10 years ago, I busted my ass every day. I made myself uncomfortable. I felt like I was going to die every day. And those were the sacrifices that I had to make. You think I was doing what was making me happy 10 years ago? You think I was doing what was making me happy by waking up at 3:30 in the morning so that I could run over to the hospital? You think me telling a patient's family that their loved one has died from cancer is something that I like to do? No, it's not. So my main point out of this video is I don't know the key to success, but the key to failure is trying to please everybody. What that's trying to say is be true to yourself, but don't necessarily just do what makes you happy. Do something that you know you'll be happy with the outcome. A lot of times people will say, oh, it's all about the journey, not the actual outcome. And that is also true. But the problem is that lots of times in the journey has a lot of suffering. The suffering does not make anybody happy. It actually detracts a lot of people. That's why you see so many people who never make it anywhere, because they quit before they get there. And that's my point. Stay true to yourself and don't think about other people. And don't necessarily do what makes you happy. Do something that you know you'll be happy with the outcome. And those things will bring you much further. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like if you did. Leave me a comment and tell me. I know some of you guys will be going back to school soon. This would be anyone from middle to high school to college, or even professional school afterwards. But subscribe if you'd like to see more. I really like making these videos just because it is a little bit more reflective on me. And who knows, maybe even 5 years down the line, I'll be watching my own videos. Because it's funny, I've been here long enough that I know a lot of things that I think about and a lot of things that I say at a current point in time, I forget about later. And a lot of times I do need to remind myself. Little known fact, I've been making videos like this since 2008, 2009. They're all hidden on my computer. I don't know if the world's ever going to see them, but it's very interesting because I go back and look and I talk about a lot of things. I remember talking about them, but somewhere down the line, they had gotten lost. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I really hope that I helped you get motivated, whether it's for whatever is going to be starting up soon. But thanks, and I will see you in the next one. Adios, amigos.